Hi, this is Corbin Smith with Seahawks Central Radio. The Seahawks lost their first game of the season today, falling 30-21 to the San Diego Chargers at Qualcomm Stadium, with temperatures soaring above 115 degrees on the field. It was an extremely difficult game for both teams, especially Seattle, because their defense could not get off the field. The San Diego Chargers had a great game plan coming in, and they were able to execute it perfectly. They had the football for more than 42 minutes. Philip Rivers played outstanding. He had full control of the offense all day long, seemed to be ahead of the Seahawks every play this entire game. He just had an edge, and he was able to even beat the Seahawks a few times with his legs, making key scrambles for first downs to keep drives alive. San Diego was 10 for 17 on third down conversions today. Said Seattle just couldn't get off the field. A lot of it had to do with great execution by the Chargers, but the Seahawks had several key penalties. The most notable one to me was when Bruce Irvin decided to push Philip Rivers when he was running out of bounds for a 1 or 2 yard gain. It would have been fourth down, and the Chargers would have had to settle for a field goal. Instead, Irvin pushes him, and San Diego ends up getting a touchdown out of that drive instead when Antonio Gates made one of his 3 touchdowns. It looked like 2005 all over again. Seattle just had no answer for Antonio Gates today. San Diego ran the ball 37 times. They were really able to chew up the clock with the temperatures being so extreme today. Seattle had several players, including Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, who had to leave to go get IV because they were dehydrated and cramping. It was just a difficult day for the Seahawks. Offensively, they did a pretty good job, but when you only have the football for 17 minutes and beast mode Marshawn Lynch only gets 6 carries, that's not a recipe for victory if you're the Seattle Seahawks. And Russell Wilson did a great job today. Looking at the positive standpoint here, Russell Wilson kept the Seahawks in the game despite the fact that San Diego was dominating Seattle's defense and they were eating up so much clock. Russell Wilson went 17 for 25, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He played a really good game. When they had a couple opportunities late, they were down 27-21. The defense made a couple big stops. Seattle had a chance to possibly go down the field and take the lead. Wilson didn't get much protection at that point, and Seattle was unable to capitalize. A lot of things that Seattle can learn from looking at the film heading into next week. The Chargers are a quality football team. They're well coached. Philip Rivers is a very underrated quarterback, at least in my book, and he showed it again today. He's a savvy leader. He knows how to read defenses, and he can manipulate defenses. He did that several times to the Seahawks today. Seattle, there's a few issues they're really going to have to work out, and one of them was stemming from last week. Again, shaky tackling at times today. And the Seahawks, when you're a Pete Carroll coach defense, tackling is not supposed to be a problem for you. But the Seahawks the last couple of games, even going back to last week, they have struggled with that. They're going for the big hit instead of wrapping up. And that's something Carroll's got to address this week when they look at film, along with fixing penalties and stuff of that nature. The secondary's got to come more prepared next week and play with more energy. They looked flat-footed today. It's not time to hit the panic button, but it's definitely a game the Seahawks have to learn from. They can't play like they did today on defense and expect to beat the Broncos, even at home, in Week 3. It'll be interesting to see what adjustments Seattle makes heading into next week when we see a Super Bowl rematch at CenturyLink Field. For Seahawks Central Radio, I'm Corbin Smith. We have an awesome podcast coming out on Saturday. As usual, a lot to talk about. Went quickly through some topics here, but Tad Hensinger and myself will have plenty more to discuss, more in-depth, looking back at this Chargers game, and of course, preparing for Peyton Manning and that high-powered Broncos offense. Thanks for listening. Go Hawks.